Welcome back
to Learn With Us,
where we
watch videos
that make us
better people.
And today,
the live action new release of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Mm-hmm. If you've been rocking with us for a while, you know that Eli and I are real big. I know you hear it a lot. I love Avatar. We love Avatar.
Like, meaning that we reference episodes from Avatar and like clips from Avatar as like life lessons,
almost on the daily,
as if we've experienced those life lessons after watching characters go through the life lessons. And we just watched the first episode of this live action and wanted to give our thoughts. When watching media in general, I think there are two ways to watch media, and neither is better or worse. But one of them is just to watch the media and just experience a story.
Yeah.
The other is to watch the media as a reflection of things that are happening in your life or in life societally, because movies get made at a certain time period when the directors and the actors are experiencing certain things that inspire certain plots that really reflect a lot of what's going on the inside of humanity. Like art itself is such, it's like projecting your insides out.
With creativity.
True art.
Yeah. That being said, what are your guys' first takes on new Avatar?
Mitch and I, we were all talking about how the dialogue felt a little bit different. Felt like the live action didn't do the banter justice. And that's something that I really noticed.
Like the humor fell off a little bit?
Yes, exactly.
I feel, very similar to Tess. I feel like there were certain elements that feel like they just can't really be translated into live action. Like the whole thing had a much more serious, intense vibe to it.
It's like in Avatar when it's hand drawn, they'll do stuff like their faces will get super contorted to express an emotion, which like a human can't do. It's like the fun part of animation.
Exactly. And like some of the jokes that they make in the animation might flop if you can't do that funny animation that's just gonna make you laugh. So there were those elements. I thought the visuals were so cool, like the action scenes, and specifically whenever it would show like a new city or something.
A new location.
Yeah. That was so nuts.
Like when they first showed the air temples, but the air temples were popping, like there were still people alive in them. And it was like, I want to live there.
Yeah. So cool. I feel like there was something lacking for me in like some of the characters and like their vibes, and I also feel like I was judging the whole thing based on the original because it's the same storyline. I almost wish there was a different storyline because I don't think I would have been judging it as much. It was like there's just a part of me that was just like, okay, well I hope it's just like the animation, and I don't think that's a good way to watch anything. You know, I would love to have a bit more open-mindedness and I think I would naturally if it was a completely new story within that same world.
Yeah, that's an interesting take.
Yeah.
One thing that I was pleasantly surprised by was the acting. I thought that the actors that they chose to did like represent the characters pretty well especially compared to the original movie.
Yeah.
Like they tried to make a live action movie of Avatar, and I literally got 30 seconds in and was like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I cannot do this.
It was painful. Yeah.
But in this, I felt like each one captured at least an essence that was like pretty close. It didn't like really feel like it was letting me down.
Yeah. I felt that way about most characters except for Iroh.
Iroh. Yes.
Iroh was the only one that was like that. When I saw him, because he's my favorite character, when I saw him I was just kind of like, I'm way less into this now. I don't feel like he was the right
Appa
character.
animation was sick.
Appa animation was crazy.
Appa,
Tess loved Appa.
Oh my god! My favorite character! Cuteness aggression.
Yeah.
And the animation was really good. It was also really cute, and like
the
cheeks. What did you guys think? Are you big Avatar fans? You're only probably watching this if you're a big Avatar fan. Did you watch the new one?
Yep.
Did it live up to your expectations? Tell us. Now let's talk about what we learned.
Yep. All right. So the first thing that came to mind, this was a test point. This was good. Is the theme in like multiple storylines just in this first episode of growing up too quickly based on world circumstances, because you're dealing with three groups of like kids. You're dealing with like Aang and the Airbenders, but it's mostly Aang, and then you're dealing with Zuko, Firebenders, but mostly Zuko, and then Waterbenders, but mostly Katara and Sokka.
And each of those children have a huge burden placed upon them.
And very different.
Like Aang is first told, which was interesting in this, that you're shown Aang as a child.
That was
to
cool.
Start.
That was cool. And
Aang being told that he's the Avatar, and him legitimately saying, "I don't want this responsibility." Think about being a 12-year-old being told you're the thing that's going to save the world and stop this war that's about to happen. As a 12-year-old,
especially for some reason, like as an Airbender, I feel like Airbender vibes are very like the feeling is like less grounded, responsibility, like duty, things like that, like just Airbender energy. We talk about the different elements and the energies with them that are associated. Like Airbender energy feels very like can be aloof but also just free.
Yes. And that also and then to move on, Zuko is cast out of the Fire Nation as a child by his dad, who's the emperor, and told, hunt down this dude, the Avatar.
Half his face gets burned.
And how old is he?
I think they're all like the same, like
I think he's teens.
Yeah. And then Katara and Zuko and Sokka. Katara and Sokka are literally leading their water tribe. Also at the age of like 13, 14, because all the dads went off to war, and a bunch of the parents and other caretakers there got killed defending the children and stuff. So it's like
just them and Gran.
They're immediately having to grow up, and it reminded me of the fact that I think a lot of the youth right now, and youth more broadly, saying like 30s and under, grew up in a time on the planet where we were literally told, hey, humans have been destroying the earth for the last 150 years.
And each other,
and pulling up all these resources, and it could be that within the next 30, 40 years, you run out of clean air, you run out of clean water, you don't have enough food.
Sorry.
And that just... it's like the same call to action.
Yeah, you're like, whoa! Yeah. You're like, I just want to be a kid. Yeah. Maybe go to college for that stuff. Because it was like such a huge thing for me. It felt like such a purpose, but also so painful to learn about for 4 years. Just to like learn about everything we're doing and like not having any ability to be ignorant about it anymore, because I've been shown it in class every day. And that's what I learned for 4 years. Is like it's so heavy. Yeah.
And the more you know, the more you realize you don't know.
Yeah, and just that how much like is happening behind the scenes, and just like how fucked up it is, and how you can't turn away anymore. Like I can't just turn away from that after hearing it.
Yeah.
It's like I have that responsibility because I'm not ignorant.
You were told you're the Avatar. It's like...
Yeah.
I mean, being told something like that, it's like the knowledge of the thing that needs to be solved, the knowledge of the problem, that person immediately becomes burdened with the potential of responding and helping the situation. And I think that is like pumping through all of us right now, and is also a really good thing to ground on the fact that it is hard. That it is like you've been called to action, not only in terms of this global issues going on, but I'm sure at your house, in your family, in your community, you've had plenty of things that have just called you into like, yo, this is tough. And we were just watching a video that was like, it's about like how to be happy again, or like how to like reprogram your minds a little bit. And what the neuroscientist lady was saying was that life is hard, and oftentimes we don't appreciate that in our current way of life, and we don't think about it being hard because a a lot of the survival needs are met. But there's a lot of baggage that we're all carrying.
Yeah.
And that we all like need each other and need to come together to actually solve. Yeah.
And these storylines also make me think about what populations are more vulnerable to growing up quickly. For example, watching Aang go through different cultures, different tribes, I guess.
In the animation that you're watching?
Oh, in the animation, yes.
Yeah.
Really makes me think about families' immigration and the cultural differences that families have to navigate, and especially children oftentimes are like translators language-wise, and caring for younger siblings like Katara and Sokka caring for the children in their tribe, and watching Aang go through the different cultural differences and messing up certain things. I guess this is in the Netflix series, but it makes me really think about, oh wow, like everyone in this society in this day and age feels like we're growing up quicker with there's so many different threats around and things that young children have to adapt to really quickly, and it makes me really I don't know, give some appreciation to immigrant families and other people who are more vulnerable.
And also another like call to action for people who have had a very stable base as children or like growing up. Like personally, my family was very stable in a lot of ways, to reach out to those other people and be like, yo, this is hard. And we can share that together and we can grow together. And I feel like that the more beautiful vision that I have of this is the fact that so many kids are becoming more conscious, I feel like, of these things at a younger age right now because of the internet and stuff like that too. Like these big topics are being spread faster. And I hope, and my prayer and my drive is to have that internet also be a key, and that knowledge that we're all connecting on be a key to us coming together and actually learning how to overcome and work through. Which I feel like is a good segue into the second point that we wanted to talk about, which was the theme of honor and duty. Which, honor and duty to me has been both, like, simultaneously such a beautiful flowering thing inside of myself, and such a cause of, like, confusion as to, like, what should I actually have duty towards? Or honor. Why should I have honor?
I feel like sometimes I almost want to just like know and be told, like, this is your thing, this is your path, and you need to do it. It was almost like it would have been nice to just have someone walk up to me and be like, yo, you're the Avatar. Like, kind of the opposite of Aang. Like, Aang's like, I don't want to be the Avatar. And for me, it was almost this feeling of like, oh man, if I knew that, I just know without a doubt what I need to do. You know, because a lot of times I feel like, or have felt in the past especially, like, okay, I have these general feelings about purpose and stuff, but it's not really, it's all very vague, and no one's going to really validate it by telling me I'm the Avatar or something, you know, so you got to kind of make it up on your own for a while. And how it just made me think that there, in our world, that there is this play between freedom and duty that needs to be struck, where you feel like you have purpose, like you have the thing that's driving you, and you also have the freedom of choice to have both of those. Because having just either the or, like if you just have honor and duty and responsibility and you have one path, it can feel very trapping. And if you just have freedom and you can do anything, then you're like, well, what do I do? And you're just like, you just flit from place to place. I feel like I've done that a bunch in my life. And I've actually really enjoyed feeling more, oh, this is my thing. This is my duty. Feeling that, embodying it, responsibilities, and feeling good about that. It's been interesting play in my life.
Yeah, it's like, Like, I think the kind of more toxic duty you're talking about is very well represented by Zuko's character arc, and the fact that he's told by someone else, this is what you should do, and as a kid he never questions why was I told I need to go kill the Avatar. And I feel like that is the more toxic side to duty, is like you're almost like sleepwalking someone else's duty. Someone else's idea of duty. So you need to like wake up and question authority. However, there are also people of authority that are really there to help you, which I think is well demonstrated by Aang's arc or Zuko's relationship with Iroh. That he has someone in his life the whole time who's saying like, hey bro, might be better if you like were working on peace. And he's just like whispering that into his ear the whole time.
Just over and over and over.
Yeah. It feels like that's almost like the voice in the back of your head that kind of knows. That the kid's like, yo, do that. And you're like, no, I need to.
Like slowly, it sinks in.
What does honor and duty make you think about?
It makes me think about, well, particularly with what you were just talking about with Zuko, was that I think sometimes in toxic settings, honor and duty can lead to blind faith and can breed ignorance if not questioned. And so I think there is a responsibility with receiving honor and duty to question why you're doing it and if it feels really good to you.
Oh yeah,
There's some bars.
those were some good words.
That's it.
That's tasty.
That was the only thing I could think of. Blind faith is a great phrase to be used. Also, I'm getting really close to the mic because this is the moment where we tell you to subscribe. But only if you think we're all really good looking. Oh, God.
Oh, the
no!
camera started tracking.
The camera's tracking me!
Wait, bring it
It's
back
the
here.
government!
It's the government.
Reset me!
Unlock me.
Unlock me!
Anyways,
Yeah.
the last thing we wanted to talk about was why is the Fire Nation attacking? Semicolon, question mark, semicolon, the urge for power.
Yeah. I was kind of thinking about this while I was watching about like how it's just like almost just a given that like the Fire Nation attacked. But it's just like, what? Like I was just like it just struck me like why they would do that, and then it could seem just like a silly question, but then you just bring it to the real world and that's actually happening. And you like it just feels like you could just be in your little bubble, and then it's so striking and like jarring to then be brought out of that bubble and see someone who is in such an aggressive, violent state, like the Lord, like the Fire Lord Sozin in this first episode, or like a warlord in real life, and it's just so crazy to be brought to that place where someone's so angry that they are just like ready to mow people down for real.
Woke up and chose violence.
Woke up and chose violence. Yeah, good stuff.
And it makes me wonder if the person chose violence or if they were just like pulled by violence a lot of times. Because I feel like in my personal experience with power and my urge for power, which I feel like is a very human thing, that like we want respect, we want love, we want people to be around us, we want to protect others and be protected by others, which is all just like sub points of power, of this ability to like move people and move with people and make your own choices,
and all feels supernatural and super good.
Yes.
Not bad things. Yeah.
And we were having this conversation a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
That masculinity in our culture and the idea of a man has been so destroyed, so stripped of meaning, and has become so toxic, and this word toxicity has come up. And I think a big problem right now is that we've equated the word man and masculinity with some brutal actions that have been repeated by people with a penis. And I think a big thing right now is also, and I think what that causes is a fear of power. And
in me, for sure.
And
And fear of men.
And fear of men. And fear of someone who's taking power. Which is a really interesting thing, because a lot of us, one, we want power, so we get this weird dichotomy inside of ourselves that we feel wrong when we want power.
Shame and guilt.
And we feel wrong when we want someone to have power over us. When we want to be led.
Whoa. Whoa.
When
Yummy.
Tasty. That, like, as my feminine side has, like, opened up more and more recently, I've been feeling the beauty and the divinity of letting someone else decide for me. And trust, because it's trust. At its core, it's trust. It's like you need to be open enough. Like, it reminds me of sex, that like the feminine anatomy needs to be in a certain emotional state to like fully open. And sexuality is just the creation process, which we all go through always. It's just a microcosm of the macro. So, like, inside of ourselves, we need to be open and trusting in the things around us if we ever want to build something.
And those things have to be, like, I appreciate the level of discernment, too, that you have over what you trust. It's not just being trusting, it's being trusting over the right things, because if you trust the wrong thing, you're going to be in a bad situation. And that is super good to do as well. And that's why there's such a pushback against power, because so often when we've trusted power as people throughout history, and not especially, but just like very much also in modern times, that power has been misused.
That circles back in a bunch of ways to the growing up quickly point.
Yeah.
We grew up in a place where it feels like power has been misused.
Yeah.
And then we were given honor and duty, like an education system that doesn't teach you a true history.
Yes.
Or it teaches you one angle of history.
Yeah.
What's the true history?
Yeah.
It's a story.
Yeah.
And just like any other story, you can interpret it a lot of different ways.
Sometimes his story.
His story.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's good.
And to circle that all back to the point I was making about masculinity and power and why the Fire Nation is attacking is, I love this thing that Mark Gaffney says, who is a teacher.
So much love for that guy.
Really interesting guy, on the Aubrey Marcus podcast a lot. Love that guy too.
Yeah.
Check Aubrey Marcus and Mark Gaffney conversations out. Because what they're trying to do is build a philosophy that is actually going to lead the world into a better, more whole place. And one of the things at the core of it is the idea that the universe itself is a love story.
Yeah.
Which I find really fascinating, because again, this whole idea of like the universe and everything that we do every day is creation. And for some reason atoms are pulled together to form physicality, and it's like, is that bond itself at the core of everything love, the thing that brings us all together? Is it all a love story? But all of that to the side for a second, I just wanted that little bit of background information to say that the wound in masculinity, which is also a wound in femininity, again, because we're not trusting, we're not being able to come together in these ways, is largely, I think, around this whole idea of power and about regaining trust in one another, in the universe, in whatever you want to call it, and in ourselves, noticing those same two aspects of the masculine and feminine that is able to then balance my trust, but also my knowledge that I can make a choice. And I have the power, the masculinity, to say, no, that's not it. I'm going here.
And
Why?
knowing
Because I
that
know.
it's all happening in truth inside of you, from the true, not from the warped and the blocked and the misled.
And the Zuko being told by his dad what to do.
Yeah, which you can only know if you're conscious enough to know it.
Yeah.
Which is why it's so important, I feel like. Yeah. Those are some great points.
I might have monologued for a bit there, but I've been processing those things for
I was
a minute.
really enjoying it.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
I hope you were too.
I'm glad you trusted me with some penetrating words.
Good.
Wow, is there anything else?
Wow. I got nothing. Tess, you got anything? Tess is like,
She's got something.
she's got something, but she's playing with it in her hands, and she's just waiting.
I don't know. Do I want it to cook? Well, okay. What you were saying about the lack of trust as a basis for the urge for like toxic power reminds me that a lot of like what we see with power and conquering and domination like seems to come from a scarcity mindset and the lack of trust that we're going to share resources and share goals and motives and share respect and values, and creates a lot of division, and all stemming from a lack of trust and vulnerability and being able to rely on your neighbors and other communities. And that's just my one thought about power. Feels like we need to build from the ground up and learn to trust by opening ourselves up and exploring a lot of the things that you were just saying.
And I like the idea of build from the ground up too, in terms of like the community that's near you. Building from like ground zero of literally my surrounding community, because that's how trust starts.
Yeah.
You know, trust can't start with faith in something far away. It has to start with, I pay my neighbor $20 for the vegetables that they grow, and that feeds me and makes me feel good. It's like, that is such like a beginning of trust that I feel like is lacking right now, because we're so disconnected from our direct communities.
And I would even go one step further to say that the beginning of trust starts with yourself. Beginning of community and trust starts with yourself. You are your first community.
That got a stank face from me. Do it.
You are your first community. You are your first community.
Wow, that just fed me so good.
That was absolute juice, Tess.
Yeah, but I truly believe you are your first community. You are the first person that you have to trust to be able to go about this world and trust others and open up and make connections and feel fulfillment, because you trust yourself and your motives, and you know that what you're doing is good and true and real and authentic.
That's what it felt like inside of me.
Yeah.
An arrow.
Like it's on your head.
Or
Ang?
Arrow.
Am I right?
Through the... Oh.
Who was there? Who was there with me on that one?
What a great way to bring it back around.
Tess, thank you for sharing that. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Thanks, King.
I was along for a couple rides with both of you, and that was real fun.
We hope you were along for the ride too.
Do you want us to watch more Avatar episodes and have talks that kind of have to do with Avatar and just kind of are just about talking? Let us know.
There's a lot of good life lessons in Avatar.
Yeah.
As you can tell this is the way we talk about Avatar all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And if you have those conversations too, tell us. It would be sick to connect.
Yo. Follow White Lotus Roundnet. Instagram, YouTube.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
If you've never heard of Roundnet, play it.
Yeah. Or watch us and then play it.
And then play it. Get inspired.
Yeah, get inspired. We're fun.
We love the sport.
We love the sport.
We love you.
We'll be around. 24 season. Peace and love.
Peace and much
Much
love.
love.